Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're in Pocheon, South Korea, and there's a story unfolding there that, on the surface, is about a single, shocking accident. But when you dig in, you find it's really about something much bigger. An entire town left frozen in time, a broken promise, and a question that gets to the very heart of what a nation's responsibility is to its citizens.
I sacrificed for the country, but where is the country? I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's a quote from someone living in Pocheon, and you can just feel the frustration, right? The sense of being totally abandoned. It's really the core of what we're talking about today. What happens when the people who've sacrificed for their country suddenly feel like that country has just vanished when they need it the most?
All right, so Section 1, 4 months frozen in time. We're going to start with the day a bomb literally fell on a village, and how the 4 months that came after just stopped the clocks for everyone living there.
Okay, so here's the timeline. Back in November of 2024, a fighter jet is on a routine training mission, and it accidentally drops a bomb right on the village of Noguk-ri. I mean, it's just an unthinkable accident. But the real story starts with what happened next. Fast forward 4 months, and almost nothing has changed. We're talking homes still in ruins, compensation totally stalled out, and people's lives just completely stuck. They're in limbo.
And can you imagine that feeling? This quote from a resident just hits so hard. We can't demolish it, nor can we rebuild it. You are literally trapped. According to the sources, yes, some small things have been done. A few windows were fixed. But that's almost an insult, right? It does nothing for the real structural damage. And it certainly doesn't do anything for that crushing feeling of being completely helpless.
So that brings us to our next section, from damage to division. Because the bomb, that was the first crisis. But the total lack of action from the authorities, well, that created a second crisis. And you could argue this one was even worse, because it didn't just damage buildings, it tore the community apart.
And this inaction led to 2 really devastating aftershocks. First, you've got the human toll. Residents are dealing with trauma, with financial disaster, and then the support they did have, like meal services, starts getting cut. And then there's the second aftershock, the community schism. A fight over aid money literally turned neighbor against neighbor.
So let's break down how this community started to fracture. Here's what happened. Aid money, about 7.2 million won per household, was given out. But it only went to Noguk-ri, the village that was directly hit. The neighboring village, Noguk-ri, they got nothing. And right away you have a huge problem. Noguk-ri says, hey, our damage was direct, it was severe, but Noguk-ri is saying this whole thing is unfair. And it just escalates from there. We're talking official complaints, even accusations of embezzlement flying around. But the sources are really clear on this point. This fight between neighbors didn't have to happen. It was a direct result of the authorities failing to step in with enough support and clear guidelines right from the start.
Okay, Section 3, a system of shifting blame. So the big question is, where were the authorities in all of this? Well, if you ask the residents, the answer is simple. They were gone. Their own words say it all. Public institutions are nowhere in sight.
And this, right here, this is what's at the absolute heart of the residents' frustration. Just look at this tale of 2 disasters in the same city. On one hand, you have a flood, a natural disaster. What happened? The city jumped into action with a massive 36.6 billion won recovery effort. It was fast, it was well-funded. But on the other hand, you have this disaster, one that was man-made, caused by the state itself. And what's the response? Budget excuses, delays, and a whole lot of finger-pointing. So you can see why they're so angry, asking, why? Why was the response for that crisis so different from the response to ours?
What the residents are stuck in is this perfect circle of inaction. You've got the Ministry of Defense, the ones responsible for the accident, slow-walking any kind of compensation, blaming budget procedures. Then you have Pocheon City. The residents came up with this really creative solution, a proposal for a symbiotic village. And the city's response? They rejected it, calling it an unfair special benefit, which is just incredible when you think about it, because this community suffered special damage. The result of all this? Total gridlock. Every institution is just pointing fingers, and nobody is taking responsibility.
And this brings us to our final section. What is a nation's duty?
because this is where the story stops being just about Pocheon and becomes about something much, much bigger. All these delays, all this division, it's all exposed a much deeper crisis. It's forcing everyone to ask a really fundamental question.
It really all boils down to this one question. You see it here written in Korean, 국가란 무엇인가. It means, what is a nation? And that's not just a philosophical question here. Is a nation just a patch of land with some laws? Or is it something more? Is it a promise, a contract between a state and its people? That is the question that's just hanging over everything in Pocheon right now.
You see, this isn't just about money for damaged homes anymore. It's so much bigger. It's about a broken promise. Think about it. The people of Pocheon, they've lived with the risks of having military bases and training exercises right in their backyard for years. They accepted that sacrifice for the sake of national security. And the unwritten deal, the implicit promise, is that if something ever goes terribly wrong, the nation will have their back. But right now, the overwhelming feeling is that that promise has been shattered.
But look, it's not hopeless. The sources actually lay out a pretty clear path forward here. Step 1. The Ministry of Defense needs to secure a full and immediate recovery budget. No more excuses. Step 2. Pocheon City has to seriously reconsider the solutions that the residents themselves came up with, like that symbiotic village idea. And step 3, all the authorities involved need to step up and actively mediate the rift in the community that their inaction helped create. The solutions are there, on the table.
But the thing is, time is running out. The exhaustion in the community is just, you can feel it. Listen to this quote from a resident. We're so tired, we don't even have the strength to fight amongst ourselves anymore. Just think about that. When you're so worn down that you can't even be angry anymore. That's a level of despair that's hard to even imagine.
So, the clock in Pocheon is still stopped. It's a powerful symbol, right? A community in limbo. A promise on pause. And it leaves all of us with one final, really important question to chew on. When a nation demands sacrifice from its people for the greater good, what exactly does it owe them in return?